know the best questions to ask a real estate agent when you're selling your home? In this video, we're going to cover the 20 questions. Yeah, sorry, there are 20 questions that you really must ask every time you interview a real estate agent. I'll even put a link at the end of this video where you can download a PDF, so that'll make it a little easier for you. You won't have to take notes. Just roll with me and hang in there for the video. If you watched the previous video in this series, how to know who is the best real estate agent to sell your house, this is a continuation of that. So in that other video, we identify your top 5 or so real estate agents that you should interview for the job of selling your home. This video drills down into how to actually set up the appointments and what specifically to ask them when they're sitting in front of you. So our stats tell us that most of you watching this video are going to be sellers. That makes sense. Obviously, you're looking at something that's about selling a home. There is an entire series that we did. We hope you enjoy it. If there's anything I can provide for you, I personally work in Boca Raton, Florida. If you're somewhere else and you need something, please put something down in the comments. I promise to answer every single comment that comes across. So let's catch up on the previous video. We narrowed our pool down after doing certain research that video outlines, and we're down to our 5 top candidates. Now you want to give each of these people a call, and you want to follow the steps of how to actually call them. So obviously, step 1, call them. That's easy enough, right? So if they answer, you want to say, hello, my name is so-and-so, and I'd like to talk with you about selling my house. And then you want to stop talking. And you want them to take the lead in that conversation. What they ask you is really important. If they ask you relevant questions, and it sounds like they're paying attention, taking notes, and then offering, some good back and forth, that's a good sign. If you like what you hear and you have a good feeling, let them take the lead and schedule that appointment with them. If you don't feel a connection, just let them know that you're kind of exploring your options and you're not really sure about setting an appointment, and move on. Trust your instinct on this. There are literally so many real estate agents that lots of fish in the sea, as they say. If there's no answer, so you've called them, there's no answer, leave a message and take some notes and put the date and the time that you left that message in your notes. I've made a nice little spreadsheet that is also going to be down in the description, which there's going to be a column for your notes. So you want to note the date and time. Why that's important is you want to see how responsive this person is. You're calling with an opportunity for them to earn your business. You want to pay attention to how long it takes for you to get that phone call returned. You want to pay attention to everything that is said during this process, and don't step over anything. If something doesn't feel quite right, trust your instinct on that. So before we get into the actual questions, the 20 questions, I want to cover a couple of pieces. Number 1, you do need to take the time to actually interview these agents. So you've done this little phone thing, okay, they're responsive, you have a good initial feeling. You want to sit down and do an in-person interview with them. I know it's super time consuming, but this is a very important hiring decision, and you need to sit face to face with a person and walk through these questions together. Fair warning, okay, this is an involved process. You're going to want to get a yellow pad. You're going to want to ask the questions to these people, and you're going to want to take down some notes. You are getting ready to place a really big bet on who you're going to hire to sell your home. It's very important, and it warrants that amount of attention and effort. Statistically, most sellers hire the first person that they meet with, and statistically, they're sort of it was okay. You can really have an exceptional experience, I promise. There are a lot of really great agents out there. Number 3, you want to interview these people in person, and you want to pay attention to everything that happens from the time you make that appointment on the phone to the time that they show up at your door. Did they send you some materials in advance? Did they send you an email with some company information? Did they confirm the appointment the day before? How many times, depending on when you set the appointment, right? You don't want somebody who called you 7 times in a 24-hour period, obviously, but how many times did they touch you, and what sort of value did they bring you during that time period between the appointment and the actual meeting? All right, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you just got some really serious news. Now, it could be like medical information or maybe a letter from the IRS. You're probably going to want the best professional that you can find, and you probably even want to get a second opinion. When you're interviewing agents for the job of selling your house, I strongly encourage that you do the exact same thing. This is a very big decision, and who you work with so completely matters that it is worth that second and maybe even a third opinion. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the questions to ask, and maybe even more importantly, I might give you some information about why it's an important question. So I will put these up on screen, and it's going to be down in the description, this exact 20 questions. Don't worry about taking notes, just hang out with us here in the video. So number 1, it's an open-ended question. So tell me about yourself. What the person chooses to share with you at this point is really telling. Do they tell you about their political affiliation or their personal life or how they are professionally? Just pay attention to what they say. There are really no wrong answers. This is more about gauging your comfort level about who is sitting across from you and whether or not you feel good about working with them. Number 2, how long have you been selling real estate? This is a good question. Now, there's no better answer necessarily. Like if they say, I got my license last week, that's probably not ideal, but somebody doesn't necessarily need 20 years of experience to be a really good option for you. You should just know going in what kind of experience they have. If they don't have a whole lot of experience, you might want to do a follow-up question about what support system they have in place. Number 3, what advanced training have you had? Sometimes this is going to be education, sometimes it's coaching, sometimes it's advanced negotiations training or marketing. There are a lot of advanced trainings available. If the agent says, I don't know, or what do you mean, or none, probably not great. Number 4, what specific training have you had in negotiation? So, the role of a real estate agent for you is going to be multifaceted, okay? There's a lot about property preparation. There's a lot of product knowledge that's important. Marketing is important. Contract and terms are important. And negotiation is like that one piece that if it's missing, the rest can really fall apart. So you want to make sure whoever you are working with has advanced negotiations training. Number 5, what homes similar to mine have you recently sold? So you want to know that whoever you're considering for selling your house is selling homes that are similar to yours and that they are doing this ongoingly. You really do need and want an expert in this area. Number 6, how is your team organized? And who does what? So you want to understand, am I working with a single agent who has very limited or no support, or am I working with a robust team where there's maybe a marketing manager or a videographer, photographer, and buyer's agents, et cetera, transaction coordinator? You want to understand what you're getting into. Now, important to note, one or the other is not necessarily better. It's really going to depend. If you want a more personal touch, you want to understand who you'll specifically be talking to, who's going to be your main point of contact, and how that all works. Number 7, what is your personal availability? What is your typical day like? So you want to understand there are some teams who one person will meet with you and talk about selling your home, another person will do the paperwork, another person will do the showings. Neither good nor bad, but you really do want to understand how that is structured and what's going to be the impact on you and your experience as you're working with this person or team. Number 8, how will my home be marketed and sold? So we put together a written marketing plan for every single listing that we take. And we're clear going in. Here's what we do, here's our scope, here's why we do the things we do. And we want to make sure that everybody's really comfortable. And it may not occur to some agents to provide you with that information. You as a seller are going to want to know, you're going to want to have the peace of mind that you're on board with what the plan is and know going in, okay, I think that this is probably going to work and be effective. Number 9, will you prepare a written market plan and budget for this house? Some will, some won't. Some agents say, listen, I just do what I do and ad hoc, etc. Other people are like, sure, I'm willing to give you a written marketing plan and a budget. Why you might want this is you want to know expectations going in. You also want to have something in writing for when things aren't going as expected. That's actually what the listing agreement is for. We sign it, we understand what are the terms and conditions going in, and that should help to curtail any misunderstandings later down the road. Number 10, what is the process from today to listing? Like to actually having the house on the market. How will that go and how long does that take? Every agent and every team is going to be slightly different depending upon the marketing package, depending upon how much preparation is needed before your home can go on the market. But you want to know, again, going in what you're in for. Number 11, what is the difference between you and the other agents in this market? Why are you the best person to sell my house? So it's very interesting when you ask the question, what's the difference between you and every other agent in this market? You want to really listen to how they're answering that question. If people are talking negatively about other agents, just notice that. If they are saying how great they are, notice that. And if they really aren't sure about their value proposition, you definitely want to notice that. Number 12, this is maybe my very favorite. I like to recommend that you ask, will you give me the names and phone numbers of a few people for whom you've sold homes very similar to mine so that I can do a reference check? So this way you are speaking to actual people who worked with this agent. Now, of course, they're going to give you names and numbers of people with whom it went well. I mean, at least we would hope, right? But you will have a real person. You'll be able to look up the property online and see what kind of a property it was. If they say, oh, it's something I don't do, etc., I would be a little hesitant to move forward with that person. Number 13, what documents will I have to sign? And do you have a sample agreement for me? So state to state, these forms are going to be different. So what it is in Florida or California, they're slightly different. That agent should be prepared to leave a sample with you to be able to explain all of the terms and conditions so that you feel comfortable going in, that you know what you're in for. You know what your responsibilities are, you know what it's going to cost you, etc. Number 14, what if we are not happy once we commit to working with you? The listing agreements in the state of Florida have a very clear paragraph about cancellation. And if you ask the question in this way, you can open up a dialogue that is maybe a little less threatening than, what if I want to cancel, right? Like, what if I'm not happy? You're also going to be able to have a conversation about how would they handle it when you're unhappy? Like, how will you be in communication and how do you plan to resolve that? It's good to know going in that you're going to be able to work through if there are bumps in the road. Number 15, what can you offer that no other agent can offer me? And the answers to this question will be very telling about what the agent believes their unique proposition is. And sometimes, they're going to cut right down to they'll discount their price or they'll do something that you didn't even ask them for. It's a very interesting and telling question, open-ended. Number 16, what's the best price you think we can get for my house? And then they're going to maybe give you a number. They're maybe going to explain. If they don't explain, you'll want to ask why. So in other videos that we've shot in this series, we talk specifically about pricing. There is a certain tier where buyers are going to expect the house to be priced. Be really cautious of any agent who claims, I can get you so much more than any other agent. Listen, the data's all out there and buyers are savvier than ever. So if someone is telling you that you can get a substantially higher price than anyone else, you want to ask them why and understand how they are arriving at that conclusion. Number 17, how long do you think it will take for my home to sell? So the average days on market in the United States is something like 60 days. In our local markets, it can vary dramatically. I mean, in one neighborhood, you could have, for a property type, something will sell immediately, like 5 days. Something else might take a year or more. You need to understand why they are explaining to you that your house will take a certain amount of time to sell. And you want to look at data that supports what they are claiming. Number 18, what improvements can we make that will help us to sell quickly and for more money? There are 100% of the time improvements that you can make yourself. Often these are like low or no cost staging. We did a whole video about this, about ways that you can sell your house for more money in less time just by readjusting some things and doing some staging techniques. So you'll want to hear from the agent you're interviewing. What are they suggesting? They just walked through your house. What would they do if they were you? Number 19. Ask them to walk you through the process of a new buyer inquiring on this property. How is that handled? Who answers the phone? What information is sent? What happens when they want to schedule an appointment? How do they get into the house? And then how are you presenting the house to those buyers? You want them to walk you all the way through that process. When you do this, I invite you to put on your buyer hat and think, would this get me closer to or farther away from considering this house as possibly the one? And number 20, I highly recommend you ask every agent you interview, okay, what's the best commission discount you can give me? Are you surprised? The reason I want you to ask that question is because it's going to tell you how good the person you're talking to is at negotiating. If they can't even negotiate their own professional fee, you probably are having an issue. If they volunteer to reduce their own professional fee out of the gate, you have to wonder how good of a job they're going to do negotiating on your behalf. So those are the 20 questions. When you ask a potential agent all of these questions and you pay attention to the answers, listening to the content of the answer, the delivery, the demeanor, when they are answering these questions, you're going to have a really good idea of who you're about to work with. If you interview 3 agents and you think none of them are really good options, you should keep looking. You really should keep looking if none of them are great. If you looked at the previous video and you narrowed it down to the top 5 in your marketplace, I'd be shocked, but it is possible. In Florida, we have 195,000 realtors, literally. And in the US, we have millions of realtors. So there are plenty of fish in the sea. You deserve to work with one who is really fantastic and has your best interests in mind. So I'm curious, what did you think of this video? What do you think of these questions? Would you be interviewing an agent and ask all 20? Let me know down in the comments what your takeaway is. I'd be really curious to hear. My Instagram handle is @Rochelle.TV. I hope that you'll consider following. We put out really fun content, property tours, informational things. You'd probably really enjoy it if you're into real estate on any level. We did an entire series geared towards sellers looking to sell their homes. We have a video about staging, about repairs to your home, and of course, everything that you could wonder about how to interview and find the right real estate agent for you. So, appreciate you watching. I'm Rochelle.TV, bringing you the very best of Boca Raton luxury real estate. See you next time.